What's going on, Mr. RapNerd, and Happy New Year to everyone. And with it being a new year, what better time than to go over my most anticipated films of 2024. Keep in mind, I haven't seen everything that's coming out, so if I missed something that you think that might interest me or might be on the list, let me know in the comments. I just kind of did a quick scroll of the most popular ones that are going to come out because, of course, we hear new movie releases as the year goes. But again, I'm going over just what I saw, so bear with me. At number 10 is The Strangers Chapter 1. Now, I believe this is a remake of the original Strangers in 2008, which I find it to be kind of weird because it's a 10-year movie, so I don't know why we're revisiting that. And we also had a sequel, or I don't know what that would be actually considered, but The Strangers Pray at Night that dropped, I think, in 2019. And this supposedly has nothing to do with that, so I'm not sure what's going on. And even with Pray at Night, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I do want to revisit it though, just to kind of put me in the mindset of what this new film could possibly be, because I went into that one thinking it was going to be a lot like the first one and ended up not liking it. The First Strangers to me is one of the scariest horror films ever. It's one of my favorite horror films as well. So I hold that at such a high standard. It's a trilogy that they already shot. The first one releases this year, and I guess the second one's and the third one released the same, or they're gonna draw it out for every year to have a new release. Either way, I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with it, because it has to be something going on with the story for them to have 3 movies already shot, written, and just ready to go. So will it be more like Strangers the first movie, or will it be like Pray at Night? They released a little clip that kind of gave me the Pray at Night vibes, but again, because the first film was so strong, I'm always going to check for whatever they do decide to do with this now franchise, if you will, because there's 3 movies, and so that makes it a franchise. So at number 10, I have Strangers Chapter 1. At number 9 is A Quiet Place Day 1. Of course, the first 2 Quiet Places are all dope. I like the second one a whole lot. I actually might like that more than the first one. And with that being said, I can't wait for Day 1 because I've always wondered how this thing started. We saw a glimpse of that in part 2 at the beginning with the flashback. So I really wonder if this one's going to take place like on ground zero, if you will, like where the aliens first came to and why they were here, how they were brought here. Really interested. You know, this is another franchise that's now a franchise that can continue on, and you can build so many different stories out. You know, they could even fast forward to like in the future even more than the last ones that released. So with this being such a great creature feature with the first 2 films, like Strangers, I'm always going to check for it just because the first 2 movies are that great. And it also is a plus that Lupita is going to star in this film. She's somebody that when I hear her name, I'll listen out for what kind of movie it is, and for it to be in a horror genre, you can count me in. So at number 9 is Quiet Place Day 1. At number 8 is Nosferatu, directed by none other than Robert Eggers, and he is a really great director. So whenever I hear his name being mentioned as directing anything, my ears perk up. And specifically for this story, I love this style of vampire because this is the one that we don't see as often in modern day. And this version of vampires, or Dracula, if you will, is the scariest type to me. Just the way he looks, that bald, pale, yellow-eyed, humanoid with the fingers and long claws. It's always been terrifying to me since I knew what this was, and I've been waiting to see somebody bring that design, or hell, even this story, into the modern day. And I think there's nobody better to do it than Robert, you know, especially with his angst to always want to do period pieces. He's gonna crush this thing. My favorite film that he's directed so far is The Lighthouse, and I could definitely see that vibe with this movie, especially if they keep it black and white. Like what he did in The Lighthouse instantly transferred to when he was announced to direct this, and I cannot wait to see what he does. And it's coming out, I believe, in December, which is cold season, which I think works really, really perfect for a film like this. So I'm excited to be scared. I'm excited for the beautiful visuals and the performances he pulls out of these actors. So number 8 is Nosferatu. At number 7 is Sonic 3. Been a huge Sonic fan since the 90s, and I'm kind of falling back into the fandom of Sonic since my daughter is a Sonic stan as well. I took her to see Sonic 2 in the theater and we had a blast, so she's really looking forward to this movie in December. Especially her favorite character outside of Sonic is Shadow, and if you saw the second one, he's teased in the ending, and they also made like a little, not a poster, but it was like an image that they released of Shadow skates saying Day 1. So I'm excited to see where they go with this one. Sonic 2 was a huge unexpected joy for me to watch. I think that they handled that movie so good. That felt like the video game can't come to life, with including the Knuckles and even going supersonic. That was the best thing ever. So for them to be doing Shadow, I could only imagine where this is gonna go, and I am so excited to see it. Shadow's another one of my favorite characters. As a matter of fact, you can't see it, but over here on my TV, I have GameCube, and I actually have Sonic Adventure 2. I still play that game, so really excited to see Shadow on the big screen and where they go. Not sure if Eggman's gonna be back here, but I don't know what else they would do, because as far as like the main villain, who they would choose, but I know of some places that they can go. Like I wonder if they're gonna get Chaos involved, and if that happens, they can get the Bio Lizard. So many different possibilities, and like I said, I'm hyped to see it. So at number 7 is Sonic 3. At number 6 is Furiosa. Absolutely love Fury Road to pieces. One of my favorite sci-fi films ever. Just all the technical aspects that just make that movie brilliant. The way it's shot, the cinematography, the camera movement, the setting, all of that works for me, man. I'm really hyped to see the backstory for Furiosa, and based off that trailer, it looks like it's gonna be nuts, just like Fury Road was, and it's firing off at all cylinders yet again. If you've seen the trailer, I don't really need to explain anything, because everything that I saw just was sensory overload in the best way possible, and I'm so excited to see this movie this year. At number 5 is Smile 2. Smile was my favorite horror film of 2022, so to see them follow up the sequel and it's already ready to go this year has me excited. When the movie ended, I was like, they for sure need to follow up with this sequel. I think the setup was well, like to the point that if they didn't make a sequel, the movie still works, but there's so much of this world to explore. You know, we still don't know where this entity came from, how it started, and they can definitely explore that in Smile 2. And I'm just excited to see where they go with it, especially passing the baton of main character to, I forgot what my man's name is, but the cop who was in there. He's kind of a scream king, if you will. And all of the horror films that he's in, I pretty much like. So that alone has me interested. And again, because Smile, the first one was so damn strong, I really wonder where they're gonna take this, because that film goes places that I didn't expect. And I just hope they continue that with the sequel. So at number 5 is Smile 2. At number 4 is a film that I think I've had on my most anticipated list for the past 2 or 3 years, kind of like I did Dark Harvest. Salem's Lot, the remake. The first Salem's Lot, man, is one of the most terrifying movies, and just like Nosferatu, they have that same vampire design here, and I think that shit is terrifying. And the first movie is terrifying. So much nightmare fuel, from the kid tapping on the window to when the vampire first wakes up, to the third act where it's like a bunch of different vampire people climbing in those caves and all that. Like, oh, there's so much that they could do with that now. I hope that they keep it practical instead of going full on for CGI, because that's one of my fears that they could do, is just go cheap CG to where it doesn't look real at all, and that might be a bit of a bummer. But again, I never shoot something down until I see it, because on the other side of that, if they really honed in and the directing and the writing is firing off at all cylinders, and this team came here to craft something good, this could be an amazing remake, and one of the better remakes that we've gotten before. That I don't know, just because of the way they've just been kind of pushing this movie around. That and Evil Dead Rise were kind of like just been juggling, but Evil Dead Rise came out and just knocked it out the park. So I'm hoping the same type of dedication was put into this film as well. And if it does, we're in for a special treat. At number 3 is Maxine. It is the, I believe, last movie in the trilogy of X and Pearl. And Ty West can do no wrong. He's been a great filmmaker since I've seen his first movie, The Innkeepers. That's the first one I stumbled across, and I followed him since. So what he did with Pearl and X was just magnificent, but just classic slashers that really encapsulate that time. So I'm really interested to see what he's gonna do with the 80s. If you've seen the little teaser, he even had the aspect ratio and that 1:3 frame. And I really hope that he keeps that to help differentiate these 3 films, because the dude is like an art house horror director at this point. And I have high hopes, and I know it's really going to knock it out the park, especially a little nugget that said this is going to be a whodunit slasher, so that makes me even more interested. Those are my favorite types of slashers. So to see this character in the 80s with as a whodunit and knowing the backstory of X and Pearl, and I'm just excited to see this joint, and I really hope it does drop this year. There's not really a date out there yet. We haven't even got a full trailer, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I cannot wait to see it. At number 2 is Dune Part 2. 2 trailers in, and this thing just looks astounding. It looks action-packed, it looks war-ready. I love the first one, and it looks to be up the same alley, but just with a lot more action. If you've seen both the trailers, you know what it is. It was supposed to drop last year, but because of the strikes, they moved it. Understandably so, because this is one of those movies where you want the cast and crew to be able to talk about it, do interviews, because this is a really big movie. I'm just excited. The scale is always what catches me off guard every time I watch this movie. I rewatched the first one the other day, and it's just Denis' eye for these artistic frames is just so beautiful. And even in the trailers, you can see that, especially the shot with the sand wave coming, and then you see the 3 worms pop out. Easily, possibly movie of the year already. Not gonna give it that crown yet. Gotta wait to see it, of course, but this movie has me beyond hype. So at number 2 is Dune Part 2. Now, of course, you know me. You know what my number 1 most anticipated film is. It's Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. I loved Part 1, Child of Fire. The PG-13 to me, I've been damn near obsessed with that movie since I've watched it, seen it 4 times, and I just love this world that's already built. So much different lore and mythology, the characters, and all of this stuff. I'm foaming at the mouth for more, honestly. Like, the Part 1 just made me want Part 2 even more than the director's cut, honestly. You know what I mean? Like, I do want that one, but give me Part 2 first. I'm actually glad that they're going that direction, because I'm just so honed in for what's going on. There's so many seeds planted in the first film that I know are gonna completely sprout in the second part of the story. I think about the Bennu, right? That Tarek, tames. I just think about that creature being in the 3rd act. I think about the resistance showing up on Velt as the battle goes on. I think about so many different things. I think about Nemesis really going ham on all of these soldiers, because against Hermata, you can definitely tell she was holding back. So I'm hyped to see that. I'm hyped to see Cora kick more ass. I'm hyped to see General Titus get it in, because he is the general. And Jimmy, I feel like, is going to be the MVP of this thing. I mean, the motherfucker has a cape on and a staff, antlers. I feel like he's going to be the superhero of the squad, being able to just do so many things. So I'm just excited for all of these seeds being planted. Also really excited to see the backstory, because as mentioned in interviews, there's going to be kind of a Last Supper scene where it's like a round table of all of the warriors sharing their stories, and I can't wait to see that. Bring it on, injected in my veins, and that is my most anticipated film of the year, Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. So let me know in the comments what you're looking forward to, and again, put me on the movies that I may have missed. So if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you, and I want to wish everybody a successful 2024. Till next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy.